Do you know what the temperature is outside right now? Probably not, because it doesn't matter to you. Tonight, you'll sleep under a roof between four walls, completely protected from whatever is happening outside. But in the world your ancestors lived in, that luxury didn't exist. And spending a single night out there unprotected, unprepared, would most likely be your last. Let me walk you through exactly how you would die. When most people think about surviving in the wild, they think about predators, a lion, a bear, something with teeth. But the real killer is something far quieter, far faster, and far more deceptive than any animal: cold. When the temperature drops to just 50 degrees, Fahrenheit, not winter, just a regular autumn night, an unprotected human body starts showing signs of hypothermia. Shivering begins. Blood vessels constrict. The brain starts cutting off circulation to your hands and feet to protect your vital organs. Your fingers go numb. Your thinking slows. Your decisions stop making sense. And then the most dangerous thing happens. You start feeling warm. This is called paradoxical undressing. In the final stage of hypothermia, the brain sends a false warmth signal throughout the body. People who are minutes away from freezing to death suddenly feel like they're overheating, and they start taking off their clothes. Rescue teams have found countless victims throughout history lying in the snow, surrounded by the clothes they removed with their own hands. They were dying when they did it. At around 50 degrees, in a damp environment, even without wind, an unprotected person can lose their life within 3 to 7 hours. Add wind, and that window cuts in half. If you're wet, it cuts to a quarter. Your ancestors learned this through experience. Every generation watched cold kill and survived by respecting it. But you weren't born with that knowledge. Your body forgot it, because for thousands of years, it hasn't needed it. Let's say you survived the cold. You found some shelter. Now you have a new problem: water. Finding water in the dark is far harder than you think. You can hear a river somewhere, but which direction is it coming from? In complete darkness, the human brain struggles to pinpoint the source of a sound. We rely on visual cues to process direction. Without them, your ears lie to you. But finding water isn't even the real problem. The real problem is panic. Studies on survival situations show that the majority of people who die in the wilderness don't die from thirst, hunger, or predators. They die because of psychological collapse. The moment panic sets in, cortisol and adrenaline flood the body. Your heart races, your breathing becomes shallow, and your brain shuts down rational thinking entirely. Evolutionarily, this makes sense. In a real emergency, stopping to think costs time. Fight or flee. But here's the problem for modern humans. Your brain doesn't interpret a lion as the trigger for panic. It interprets the darkness itself. In complete darkness, no electricity, no moonlight, nothing, the first 10 minutes trigger your brain's alarm system. This isn't just psychological, it's neurological. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, becomes hyperactive in the dark. And that hyperactivity shuts down exactly what you need: most logical thinking. When you panic, you burn energy. When you burn energy, you get thirsty. When you get thirsty, you panic more. The cycle begins, and most people can't break out of it. Let's say you didn't panic. You handled the cold, you need water, and you decide to move. This is where your brain plays its cruelest trick on you. Finding direction in the dark is nearly impossible. You know that. But you probably don't know just how impossible it really is. In 1928, researcher Asa Schaefer discovered something unsettling. People walking in complete darkness or dense fog without any visual reference point always walk in circles. Every single time. No exceptions. This is called the circle illusion. Here's why it happens. The human body isn't perfectly symmetrical. Your right leg is usually a few millimeters longer or stronger than your left. Without visual reference, this tiny asymmetry accumulates with every single step, slowly rotating you without you ever feeling it. You walk for hours, thinking you're moving in a straight line, and end up exactly where you started. When lost people are rescued, they're almost always just a few hundred meters from safety, but they couldn't find it because every straight path they took in the dark was actually a circle. Your ancestors had to know this. They learned to read the stars. They tracked the moon. They memorized the direction of the wind. This wasn't general knowledge for them. It was the difference between life and death. You weren't born with that knowledge, and in the dark, without it, you just keep turning in circles until you can't anymore. Now we get to the part everyone was actually thinking about. You're moving in the dark, and without realizing it, you've caught something's attention. Lions don't prefer to hunt in daylight. Leopards love the dark. Hippos are significantly more aggressive at night. And sharks, if you're near a coastline, are most active between dusk and dawn. But the most dangerous animal might not be the one you're picturing. Long-term research in Africa shows that the vast majority of attacks on humans happen at night. And a significant portion of those attacks target people who are already weakened, slowed down by cold, dehydration, or exhaustion, unable to think clearly. Predators feel this. How? Scent. A leopard can detect the smell of a human from nearly a mile away. Sound. The irregular breathing of panic, the snapping of branches, the uneven footsteps, all of it is information. And heat. Certain snakes can detect human body warmth in complete darkness using infrared receptors. You can't see them. They've already found you. Your ancestors changed this equation with fire. Fire kept predators at a distance. But without fire, an unprotected human in the dark is not at the top of the food chain. They're somewhere in the middle of it. Let's say you somehow made it through all of that. No hypothermia, found water, found direction, avoided predators. Now you need to sleep. But even this isn't as simple as you'd think. Sleeping outdoors, especially in the dark, puts your brain into a permanent alert state. Evolutionarily, sleep is your most vulnerable moment. Consciousness shuts down, muscles relax, reaction time drops to 0, and your brain knows this. So, when you try to sleep outside, something happens. Your brain refuses to allow full deep sleep. It keeps you in a constant state of light wakefulness. Every sound, every movement, every shift in the wind jolts you back. You wake up in the morning feeling like you slept, but you didn't. Not really. This effect compounds. The second night is worse. The third night is worse still. Sleep deprivation causes hallucinations. It destroys decision-making. And eventually, it collapses your immune system, leaving you wide open to infection. Your ancestors solved this by never doing it alone. They moved in groups. They kept watch through the night. They looked out for each other. Collective survival was always stronger than individual survival. You lost that group, and with it, that entire evolutionary safety net. Here's what sits underneath all of this. Fear of the dark is not a weakness. It's an evolutionary adaptation. The brain codes darkness as dangerous because darkness historically was dangerous. The amygdala going hyperactive in the dark isn't a malfunction. It's a mechanism that kept your species alive for millions of years. Studies show that in complete darkness, people feel pain more intensely, interpret sounds as more threatening, and their decision-making slows dramatically. Someone who makes sharp, clear decisions in daylight cannot access that same sharpness in complete darkness. That's not your fault. That's millions of years of survival experience written directly into your biology. The average modern human can handle genuine darkness. No artificial light, no phone screen, nothing for about 11 minutes before instincts take over. 11 minutes. After that, no matter how rational you think you are, no matter how calm you believe yourself to be, something older than your conscious mind starts making your decisions. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Because that older part of you survived every single night without electricity, without heating systems, without a supermarket within driving distance. It got you here. Its programming is still inside you, waiting. Tonight, when you turn off the light, think about this. That darkness was always there. And just a few generations ago, you would have had to live inside it. Think about how they made it through. And maybe, just maybe, have a little more respect for the people who did.